Hey guys, I am back. I don't own any rights to this music. I just love this song. It's called My God. My God. So you have to make him personal to you. There's nobody. You hear? There's nobody like him. Okay, I'm going to turn it down. I am back. I gave you an introduction to the beginning of my grief recovery. How y'all doing today? I gave you an introduction to my steps toward grief recovery. I gave you the introduction of what happened in my life. So I am back. I'm just giving you some of the synopsis out of my book, which is called Jilted, Embracing New Life. I wrote it a few years ago. And again, I'll reiterate, my sole mission is to help someone to get up and live and not just exist. To be intentional about your recovery and intentional about your God-given purpose. So, I'm going to give you a little synopsis out of the plans. How many of you know sometimes we can make plans in life? God's plan is not our plans. His ways are definitely not our ways. Sometimes we can plan things out and our life end up happening in a way that we never thought it would. But somehow it always works out. It always works out. And it's really not somehow, it's God. Okay? So this chapter is, I'll give you a little synopsis out of chapter 2. I think I told you our beginning. We dated in high school and we went on to be married some 25 years. Okay? So after this happened, after my husband was pronounced dead at the hospital, I told you how I was in such disbelief. So now I'm going to back up the story a little bit since I'm just leading up to the end. We were planning our 25th anniversary. I think I already told you that. And my husband was rhythmically challenged, so I asked him would he take some dance lessons. He agreed. It was going to be a black and white ball. I had already hired people and told them I was going to hire them and started the works in progress. Because it was going to be at the end of the year. And I think this was the early part of the year. And it takes time to plan things like that. So I was excited. I was 25 years. Who knew? So the kids and I always teased their dad because he had no rhythm. And that was the whole reason, excuse me, why I decided to have him take dance lessons so he can keep up just a little bit. Wasn't going to have him do anything too difficult because I knew that would be a disaster. So I was excited. I started to write the plans out. I knew the place that I was going to have the event at. And it was going to be fabulous because I love doing things in the spirit of excellence. So in my head, it was going to be fabulous. We were going to have a good time. Chosen the finest of linens. Made sure I was really particular about the guests that I was going to invite. And the room was going to be amazingly elegant. So those were the plans we had. We were so thankful to God for seeing us through 25 years. We got married at 18 and 19, and it's almost unheard of to make it that young of an age without domestic violence, without foolishness and things like that. Besides the typical problems that we worked through, we didn't have the drama. And we were so thankful to God at this time. We'd given our lives to Him, and we just wanted to do everything that God intended for us to do while enjoying life at the same time. So let's see. At the time, my daughter was my confidant. I would tell her of all the plans I had about the banquet and the different surprises that I was going to have for her dad. I couldn't have told my son because as a little boy, my husband at the time would kind of find ways to get him to tell him what the surprise is or things like that. So I knew I wasn't going to tell him. Yeah, he was older at this time, but I still didn't trust him to keep the secrets. So we had finally learned how to vacation without taking the whole weight of the church with us. Yeah, I'm skipping ahead because I don't want to just bore you with all the details. I'm skipping ahead. Since we pastored alongside one another, he pastored, I ministered alongside of him. We had to learn, again, how to vacation without taking the weight of the church upon us. So we vacationed. We were just having a good time. I remember this particular time that our church had planned an event for us. And one person in particular planned all the details, planned a helicopter ride, just everything. We went out of town and she planned this whole thing out, and it was beautiful. Even the restaurants that was chosen for us was beautiful. It was already paid for. The servers wouldn't even let me tip them because they told me everything was already taken care of. That sounds like a good life to me. Don't it sound like a good life to you? Well, it was. But I had to be reminded because of grieving Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "For I know the thoughts and plans I have for you, thoughts of good and not evil, to bring you to an expected end." See, this chapter was called the plans, but they were my plans. They were my plans. They were his plans. But who knew he would no longer be here for the plans? So that led into me journaling my thoughts because I couldn't sleep at night. So I would begin to, in the middle of the night when I would wake up, well, I don't know why I'm saying the middle of the night, because it would be every few hours. I could not sleep. I was just hurting so bad and missing the person that I would wake up to it every single day. So when that happened, when I would wake up, I would get on my computer and open up a Word document and just begin to type my thoughts out. And some of my thoughts would go a little something like this. I began writing around 2:50 on Monday, and I gave the date. And I said, "I miss your brilliant smile, the smell of your cologne, and your natural scent. I keep seeing you and imagining that I'm holding you and never letting go. We had so many plans to do many things, and one day we ran out of time. I keep thinking in my head about how I was going to dance for you on the anniversary as a surprise, and although I didn't get a chance to do that dance for you, I remember dancing for you in the room about 2 weeks before you left this earth. I remember the big smile it brought across your handsome brown face." That was just some of my journal entries. Then on another day, I would say, "Another long day. I keep thinking about how our dance ended too soon, but I'm reminded that I had 25 wonderful years, and really had more than 25 because we went to school together, but right at 25 married years. And I said, not only were we husband and wife, but you were my friend. We shared everything, even if the conversations hurt. We made it through all of the trials." So my journal entries, I just entered them down because they were my thoughts at the time. I never knew it would turn into a book. But because this was so painful to me, after many years of journaling, it's as if God put on my heart to write a book. Because when you lose a loved one, and especially if you're believing God, your heart get even more tender. Yeah, you're hurting, but my heart got even more tender. I wanted to make sure I was loving on people and being there for them as much as I could. So if I would hear about anybody going through anything, even in the midst of my pain, my heart say, be the first one to pray for them. Just pray for them. And that's the type of heart I had. And so I would just continue to journal and journal and journal. And throughout the years when God put it on my heart to write the book, I understood why. Because there's so many people in life that's hurting. So many people are going through grieving. And as I always state, whether it's death of a loved one, whether it's a divorce, whether it's the loss of finances, loss of health, whatever type loss it is, so many people are grieving even now today. People are grieving friendships. People are grieving relationships. And the pain that comes along with that, the loneliness, the isolation that can come along with that, that in itself make me want to be available to help other hurting people. So when God put it on my heart to write the book, I began to write the book. But so many times, because I was still in the process of grieving, I would write the book and I may not pick it up for months at a time. Months turned into years. And one day I decided it's either now or never. Because I remembered telling God, if you want to see me through this, you got to get me through it. And I remember telling them, if you see me through this, there's nothing else I can't get through in life. Well, God would bring that back to my remembrance. And I knew if I wanted to live this life, the first thing I told God is, I got to live and not just exist. Because I don't want to be around here just going through the motion and not being able to help anybody, because that's my ministry. I love serving people. I love praying for people who are in need. I love giving to people who are actually in need. So I knew that if I allowed this to depress me forever, I would be no good for anybody. My light wouldn't be shining anymore as a child of God. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be bitter. I wanted to be better. So that's why I'm here telling you my story today. And one of the next chapters is called Without Warning. Without Warning. I'm just going to read a little bit to you. It says, my husband, it's telling you a little bit of background, how he hurt his back. And therefore, that's why the doctor was putting him in the hospital just for a one-day testing, supposedly. And as I stated, he went in on a Monday. By that Wednesday, he was gone. I was in disbelief. Didn't know what I was going to do. Now, I'm going to veer a little bit, because let me tell you a little bit about grief. Grief is going to either bring the best out of you or the worst. But not only you. Grief can also bring the best and the worst out of people. People sometimes don't understand you because they have not gone through what you're going through. They don't know how it feels. So in their head, they have a preconceived notion of you're just ignoring them. But that's not the case. You're not ignoring them. You don't know how to process your feelings. You're going through grieving, so sometimes that includes shutting down. And so sometimes people don't understand. But your right support system, they'll be there regardless. They'll be there regardless. And I tell people all the time, unless you have gone through something yourself, you're not going to know how it feels. So I'm here today. This has turned into my ministry more so than being in the pulpit. It's helping people move forward in grief. And to let you know that what you're feeling is normal. Anything you're feeling is normal. Your anger, your pain, all of that is normal. But you can move forward. You can get past it. You can go through those phases and still get past it and be determined to let your light shine upon men and be determined to help someone else through their grief recovery. See, anything in life that God allow us to go through and he see us through it, it's never just for us. It's so much bigger than us. And we have to remember that. Our life is so much bigger than us. If we're going to truly walk out God's purpose for our life, see, so many times we get caught up in saying, I want to fulfill my purpose. No. I want to fulfill God's purpose. The reason I'm here on this earth, I want to make a difference. I want to be able to pull somebody out who's depressed. I want to be able to pull somebody out who's determined, no, I'll probably never get married again because this seemed to hurt and I'm not going to trust anybody. I want to challenge your belief system. I want you to surrender to God and know that he have better for you. He have greater plans for you, regardless of how things turned out. If we surrender to God and put in the work to make better decisions, put in the work to heal from whatever it is that we're going through, then God have a plan for our life. He have a plan regardless, but it's up to us whether we're going to surrender to the plan and answer. So I'm just giving you a little brief summary of my grief, what I went through, and what I've come through, in hopes of helping somebody else. And I decided a long time ago that if God see fit to allow me to go through whatever it is in life, I'm going to get through it, regardless of the pain, regardless of how much it hurt. I'm either going to trust God or not. And I decided a long time ago that I trust him. I decided a long time ago that God is faithful. He's just waiting on us. A lot of times we expect God to come down from heaven and do things for us. But we are free moral agents. He's waiting on us to surrender. See, we can tie his hand. And how we tie his hand is by sitting down doing nothing, not transferring it to him, not casting our cares on him. So if we never cast our cares, if we never surrender and ask for help, we're tying his hand. Seek him and he may be found. Knock and the door shall be open. God is waiting on us, but we have to participate. We have to fully participate in our recovery. We have to fully participate in moving forward in God. We have to have a made up mind that God can see us through any and everything. We have to make up our minds that we're going to trust God regardless of the situation, regardless of the circumstances. So I'll end with this. I am praying for those that are grieving today. I am praying that God will give you the strength to surrender and reach out to God and ask Him for His healing, and to be intentional and fully participate in your recovery. I am rooting for you. I know that you can do it because I did it. Through God, all things are possible. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Let that be your testimony today. Until the next time, be blessed.